Okay, 7, go ahead with your opening script.
The Board of Electrologists and Body Art Practitioners meeting is convening at 10:02 a.m. on November 8th, 2021 at the Health Licensing Office in Salem, Oregon by telephone conference call. I will now call roll call. Lisa Chambliss.
Here.
Audrey Jones.
Audrey, you're on mute.
Here.
Ryan Othis.
Here.
Matthew Holmes, absent. Shane Seven-Wolf, here. Members, when you wish to speak, please state your name for the record. For the record, public members calling into the public phone line are asked to email April Fleming at april.fleming@dhsoha.state.or.us and provide your first and last name. Public interested parties feedback may be heard during the public/interested parties feedback period if indicated on the agenda. Everyone is asked to use appropriate language, manners, and protocols when conducting board business. This meeting is called to order.
All right, good job. So this is Sylvie. It's not really on the agenda, but I do believe Ryan is new face to some of us. I know he is to me. So maybe we could do a real quick little introductions. So Ryan, so if you don't know me, and actually I don't know if Audrey, if you and I have actually seen each other before either. So I'm the director here at the Health Licensing Office. I've been here since 2009. And Bob, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, good morning. I'm Bob Bothwell. I'm the regulatory manager, and I've been here since 2011, I believe. I'm getting old.
And Tina, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Tina Russell. I'm the licensing manager, and I've been here for 25 years.
Sammy? You're on mute, Sammy.
I'm the policy analyst, and I've been here 25 years.
Lots of oldies. That's right. So, and then we'll go 7. You want to, I don't know if you know Ryan or not, but 7, you want to introduce yourself to him?
Hi, Ryan. I'm 7. I've been on the board. I don't remember what year I started, but I'm the vice chair. And since Matthew Holmes isn't here, I'm the chair for this meeting.
Nice to meet you.
You too.
And Lisa?
Hi, my name is Lisa Chambliss, and I am a public health nurse with Lane County Public Health in Eugene, and I help advise medical things, and I've been on the board for several years now. Also don't remember what year I started, but it's been many years.
Thanks, Lisa. And Audrey, go ahead.
Hi, Ryan. I'm Audrey. I'm an electrologist, and I have only attended one other board meeting besides this, so I am new too.
Nice to meet you all.
And then Ryan, you want to tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, my name is Ryan Othis. I've been tattooing for about 20 years now across most of the states of this country, Canada, and overseas as well. I'm a science writer and researcher for tattooing, and I'm hoping that this will be a lot of fun. So,
I'm sure it will be. All right, so next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. So if somebody other than 7 could make a motion to approve.
should just do that. I move to approve the, what was it called?
The agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
And state your name.
Ryan Othis.
Perfect.
This is Lisa Chambliss, I second.
Okay. So 7, you have a somewhat of a script. So a first and second have been made, and then so it's on your voting.
Is it the part where it says a motion has been made? I'll call the roll.
Yep.
Okay. All right. A motion has been made. I'll call the roll. Lisa Chambliss.
Aye.
Audrey Jones.
Aye.
Ryan Othis.
Aye.
Matthew Holmes absent, and Seven-Wolf aye.
Excellent. All right, next item is approval of the 2022 meeting dates. So we have picked out February 28th, July 25th, and November 7th, all starting at 10 a.m. And so you can discuss if there's any issues with those dates, and if there's no issues, then somebody needs to make a motion to approve the 2022 meeting dates.
This is Lisa Chambliss. I have no objections to those dates.
This is Audrey. I'm good for those dates as well.
This is Ryan. I'm fine with that as well.
So this is Lisa Chambliss. I make a motion to approve the dates listed for 2022 meeting times.
And this is Audrey Jones. I second that motion.
A motion has been made. I'll call the roll. Lisa Chambliss,
Aye.
Audrey Jones,
Aye.
Ryan Othis,
Aye.
Matthew Holmes is absent, and Seven Wolf, aye.
All right, so this is Sylvie again. So here, this is going to be a fun one. So you guys need to elect the chair and vice chair for the next year. Your statute requires you to do this every year. Doesn't mean that you have to change anything. So Matthew currently is serving as chair, and you're welcome to leave things how they are. Obviously, he won't have a say in that. Because his term goes through 25, so it's not like he's done. So you could reelect him as chair, and if for some reason he has any issues or heartburn at the next meeting in February, he can articulate those, or you guys can change it. That's kind of up to you, but you do have to either elect or vote to keep them as is. So you guys can discuss.
This is Lisa Chambliss. I love how it is right now, and I vote not to change it.
It's usually easier to leave it as is because it takes a few meetings for you to kind of even ever get into the groove of anything. So there's no need to change it, but you do have to vote to keep it as is.
Does anybody want to make any changes?
No, this is Ryan. No, I make a motion to approve the people staying the way they are.
This is Lisa Chambliss. I second.
All right, a motion has been made. I'll call the roll. Lisa Chambliss,
Aye.
Audrey Jones,
Aye.
Ryan Othis,
Aye.
Matthew Holmes is absent, Seven Wolf, aye.
That was easier than I anticipated. All right, so let's move on. So we are under reports. Like I said, well, I don't remember if I said it on record or not, but this meeting is going to be pretty short. We don't have a whole lot of things for you guys to make some decisions on today. So it's more of an update. Obviously, you've already made the 2 decisions that we needed you to make because this is the last meeting of the year. And then hopefully in February, you might have some cases that Bob's going to try and close out, but he'll talk a little bit more about that when it gets to his section. So right now, director's report, couple little things. I don't remember if I explained this or not, but genetic counselors got added to us during the legislative session. So we are in the process of getting that up and running. We'll start taking on applications in December, which is next month. And then we start issuing licenses in January, first day of January, which will be the 3rd, which is when the first day we're open. And so that will get us up to 17 boards and programs. So we keep growing and growing and growing. It's a very small program. They do not have a board. I do believe there's roughly about 60 of the individuals in the whole state of Oregon. So it is very minor change, but it is a whole nother set of statutes, a whole nother set of rules, a whole nother program added to the board or the office. So other than that, Tina's got a lot of new staff. We got really, really short staffed on the front line. We haven't been open for quite some time, but we're also supposed to open the January 3rd, which is the first working day of the new year, meaning our doors are open and you don't have to have an appointment anymore. So currently you cannot come into the office without an appointment, and we limit those appointments to things that are very necessary, such as, taking one of our exams. Everything's been done through the mail. So hopefully things will change come January 3rd. And like I said, Tina's got some new staff. She's trying to get them up and trained as much as she can, knowing that come the 3rd, the doors are going to open. For anybody of your friends or anybody who knows who has had to come into the office to take an exam, it's been a little slow because we have to schedule those and people get their set allotted time. And we also have to maintain the 6-foot distancing rule, which limits how many people we can allow into the office. So hopefully things will start running a little bit smoother come to the first of the year. You guys also have 2 vacant positions. So if you know of anybody who looks like we need a body piercer and a public member. So if you know of anybody who might be remotely interested, you're welcome to send them to me or to Sammy. For those of you who recently have came on, you got a lot of correspondence with Paige Sims. Paige has moved on to another job, so her position is currently vacant. So you're welcome to email Sammy and I directly. We can kind of talk to the individuals and let them know what it's like to be on the board and what it pertains and all that kind of stuff. There is a new application process, and so we'll have to walk them through that. They now have to apply in what's called Workday, which is I think most of you all, once you're a board member, you're actually in Workday, but now as interested people will have to go in there and apply then. Not that you need to know this, just send them our way. We'll help them through that whole entire process. And then COVID update, I kind of already led into that a little bit. We're opening back up in January. Hopefully, like I said, it'll make it a lot smoother for the applicants and the testing. And so the written exams, obviously our practical exams are scheduled, so that's not the big of a deal, but it's the walk-ins for the written exams. But any questions on that? You should have also been we've been sending out email blasts about COVID-19, anything to do with COVID. And so a lot of emails, sometimes your email system might think that our emails are junk, so they might go into your junk box. But we've been sending a lot of email blasts this whole COVID-19 to try and let people know, what the regulations are, what's changing and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully you've been getting those, but if not, let Sammy and I know. We have all of your emails, so you guys should all get them, but we also have every licensee's email, and so they've been going out. But if you're not getting it, it's most likely in your spam box. But anyways, okay. Any questions before we move on?
I have never gotten emails other than invites to the board meetings, and that's on my home email and my work email, so I am not sure. I've checked junk boxes, but.
And Lisa, it might be different because you're not a licensee and it didn't get added to the interested parties list, but I'll make sure that Sammy and Nathan, which Nathan's listening and Sammy's obviously listening, they're both listening. So they'll make sure that even though that all board members, especially board members who are not one of our licensees, so our public members, obviously you're licensed by a different board than any of ours. And so we'll make sure that you're added to that list so that you start getting them, so that just you're aware. You're most likely working in the field that you're in. You already know the information. We're passing along information that's coming from the health authority anyways, so you're most likely already getting it. But yes, we will make sure that you're on the list.
I am very deep in COVID, yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Any other questions? All right. Let's move on. Licensing and statistics. Okay, so for those of you looking at your slides, let me get to the section. Starts on slide 12. So we'll go through this. There's a lot of information. Most of you have seen this before, but for Ryan and Audrey, this is going to be new. So if you have questions, please ask. I go through it because I see this like every single day. So I kind of like just ramble through it real quick. But if you have questions, just let me know. So we try to break out the licensing information broken out by the different license types. You guys, most of our boards don't have as many license types as you guys do. So we tried really hard. So there's a lot of slides, but if you start combining the information, then it is harder to read. So first slide is number of licenses issued for electrologists only, and that's broken out by quarter. And again, our quarters are a little odd. It says it down there on the bottom, but our year starts July 1 and ends on June 30th. So quarter 1 is July, August, and September. So very few electrologist licenses being issued. The next slide shows that same timeline and the same information, but for tattoo artists only. So this is licenses issued broken out by quarter. The next one shows, again, the same information, but for standard body piercers. And as we know, the number of standard body piercers is very low. When we changed all the regulations for body piercers, the amount of new people coming into the profession has been very small. The next slide, which is on slide 15, this is for earlobe only technicians. They obviously do not have to go through the body piercing program. This is more they have to use the gun just the soft tissue part of the ear. And that's a huge turnover. It's not like a long-term career. Next slide, slide 16, just shows the specialty level 1s that were issued. So obviously those are standard body piercers who've gone through the additional training to become a specialty level 1 piercer. Next slide, which is slide 17. This information just shows the whether somebody renewed online or through paper, snail mail. And this is for electrologists only. One of the reasons we do these slides is to show that the more we can, to show how many people who renew online, because the more people we can get to renew online, for one, the quicker and less paperwork and less time consuming and staff resources are used. So we always want to encourage people to renew online. One downfall is the moment, if your license is due on the 31st at 12:01 a.m. on the 1st, you cannot renew online. So the instant you're late, you can't do the online renewal. Next slide shows the exact same information, but for tattoo artists. You can see, a vast majority of them renew online. And it's becoming even more and more now that we're in COVID, because nobody wants to wait for the mail to actually show up. So they're doing the online renewals. And the next one, again, same information but for standard body piercers. And then the earlobe technicians. And then the specialty 1s and 2s. So mainly online again, which is good. So this one is, so I'm on slide 22, which is licenses by age and gender. And this is for everybody excluding the facility licenses. So it's a very young profession. You do have one individual who has an active license who is over the age of 82. All right, so now I'm on slide 23, and this just kind of shows the long-term trend. So this kind of shows you if your field is either growing or decreasing. The first one is the facilities. Over time, the facilities have gone up, which is great. That means, more facilities are opening up. Next one down is the earlobe piercing. Again, those are with the gun only. Next one is electrologist, and electrologist is actually going down. One of the contributors to this might be the fact that the one and only Oregon electrology school has closed. So there is no school in Oregon if you want to become an electrologist. Oh, yes, Ryan. Sorry.
Hi there. Yeah, no worries. If you wanted to carry on, I can wait till the end as well.
Oh no, go ahead.
Okay. Back to slide 22.
Sure.
I see the age and gender,
Yes.
but I was wondering if we had any information on like race classifications of people in relation to age and gender.
So the race classification is a voluntary question.
Okay.
So whether you choose to answer it or not. So some of that information is entered into the system and some is not.
Okay.
So it's missing because it's a voluntary question. So
Okay.
it's missing a lot of pertinent information. So it would be probably not best to not report it.
Okay.
Because it's going to be unproportionately, like if you have 18,000 or 1,800 individuals and only 600 of them answered.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why in the age and gender, there's the other, because you also do not have to disclose whether you're male or female.
Roger that.
Any other questions?
No, I'm good with that. Thank you.
Okay. So we're on slide 24, which, like I said, the electrologist trend is going down. There is a school in California, and we do know that individuals are going down to California to go to school for electrology. We as an office and you guys as a board have no control whatsoever over schools. We can't encourage them. I mean, we can basically say there isn't any. We can work with an individual who wants to open a school, but we don't have any control over that. So that's kind of a downfall for anybody in Oregon who wants to become an electrologist. But until somebody opens a school, we can explain to them, this is how you go to another state to get, and get your information to us if that's what you choose to do. So, but any questions on that? You only have one electrologist on the board, so. The next little slide.
Yay, we have one now.
Yes, we have one now, finally. Yes. So, yeah.
Thanks, Audrey.
Yes, that position's been vacant for a really long time. And it will really help. Well, Sammy will get into the details of the rule writing later, but it'll really help because we need to your guidance on a lot of stuff for later on. All right, so I'm looking at this specialty piercing 1 and 2. There's so few of the individuals who have those licenses, so we put them on there. But pretty steady. So if you look at like what Q1 of fiscal year 2020, there was 82, and this is an average for the quarter. And then currently there's 81. So pretty steady. It looks like it's moving around a lot, but it's because it's like bumping up like 1 and 2. So it's not really that much. Your temporary body piercing technicians, which is, yes, Ryan.
Oh, I was wondering, is there like a map of location, or is that like too personal with some of this stuff where they see the licensing trends of where things may be growing versus not in the state?
So we can do that. So we can give you information on where individuals are by license type. However, it might be deceiving. So it will be the actual residential address. So it will go by your residential zip code versus where you work.
Okay.
I mean, we could potentially do one that goes by facility location.
Mm-hmm.
That might be interesting because you have to work in a facility. So we might be able to figure that out.
Well,
this is Nathan. We can on Excel put a map of Oregon out, then put it even by county or city and say how many facilities are in that county or city on a map.
Yeah, and it might, Ryan, it might be a little hard to find, do more of a trend like that because it's more of a snapshot in time. Yeah. So as of today, there's this many people in Multnomah County, this many people in Lane County, that kind of thing, versus a trend. It's easy for us to do a trend of licenses because it's the amount of active licenses, but we don't. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I didn't know if you did like by quarter, like you have this broken down, if you could see growth over top of it. It was just like a heat map,
Right.
Maybe it was just by county as opposed to by city or like exact location.
Yeah, and we can work on it. We can see what we can come up with.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Now I totally lost my train of thought of what I was going to say.
Sorry about that.
No, you're totally fine. So I'm on slide 25. So the top of that one, I know what I'm talking about. So this is the temporary body piercers. So this is the individuals who are going through the program. So it looks like it's growing, but if you look at, it's only gone up to 17 for the Q1 of 20, and we're currently at 19. So it looks like it's gone up, but not a whole lot. So it's pretty steady. Tattoo artists, on the other hand, those are growing. And so the difference between the tattoo and the body piercing, though, is that there's tattoo schools and there's not body piercing schools. So you have to find somebody who's willing to be your supervisor in order to be a body piercer versus we still have to find somebody willing to take on a student to be a tattoo artist too, but there's schools out there. So that makes a difference. And then the last slide talks kind of about what I was talking about before. And it says the standard body piercers. So over time, it keeps going down because there's not a lot of new people coming into this profession. Again, it's due to the fact that you have to have a supervisor. You have to have somebody who's willing to be a supervisor of you. Oh, Ryan, you have your hand up again.
Sorry, I didn't mean, I meant to click it off.
Okay. So we've had this discussion for those of you who've been around that there's not a lot of individuals who are willing to take on a trainee to go through the program. And there's also obviously has not been anybody who's willing to start a school. So we'll get into Sammy. I know Sammy and Corinthia were working on, and they'll get into that a little bit later when we get into the rules and stuff. You guys have had discussions in the past about how it's just not feasible to do a school with the amount of hours and the amount of procedures and the amount of how you have to, the supervisor and the trainees relationship. It just doesn't currently work and is feasible financially in order to have a school start. So I know Corinthia and Sammy were working on that. Sammy will get into more of that stuff when we get down to her section, and then final statistical related, oh no, 2 more slides. So I'm on the financials, so slide 27. So for Audrey and Brian, this is new to you, but this is the financials. And so you guys are one, like I said, of 17 boards and programs that the office has. And so all 17 boards and programs have their own money, and their money is kept separate. And the office as a whole, the office itself does not have any money, but all 17 boards and programs, if you combine those and look at those as a whole, they have to stay in the positive. So right now, the Board of Cosmetology and the Board of Respiratory Therapists and Polysomnography Technicians, say that 3 times fast, those 2 boards are in the negative. We have gone through the process, which is a long process, of increasing the fees for those 2. So that process has to go through, it starts with us, goes to the governor's office, they have to approve it, then it goes to legislation, they have to approve it, has to go in rule. All that stuff is starting, which is, like I said, a time consuming, but it will go into effect in January 1. So effective January 1, all of their fees are going up. So to try and get them right-sided, because their fees hadn't changed since prior to us moving into the Oregon Health Authority. So their fees were set when we were independent. It's not enough money to keep them sustainable. So that's occurring. Once that is done, then we're going to go through and look at all the boards that have too much cash and start figuring out how to get them right-sized. So you can see, if you look at, so in 2021, so mind you, you have to understand the overtime stuff too. So we used to be an independent agency, and then we moved into the Oregon Health Authority, the director's office, and then they moved us into public health. So every time we do those moves, we get assessments that are part of being a part of the Oregon Health Authority. So when we were independent, we had our own monies, our own budget, our own assessments, and then they moved us into the Oregon Health Authority, and then they started assessing us. So it assessed us by like transactions, because we have shared services for like accounting and HR and payroll, all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of those things in there that we don't have control over because it's part of being the part of the health authority. And then obviously those expenses get divvied out between all the boards and programs. So if you look at last year, which is 2021, we're on the top. So that's July of 2020 through June 30th of 2021. You had a cash balance at the beginning of the biennium with a little over 1 million. You had 247 come in revenue and 252 go out in expenses, which was a negative 5,000, a little over 5,000 for the year. So that's the most recent one. We're currently in 22, but again, that just started July 1. And so based on our current allocation and our current stuff, they will project forward, they meaning our fiscal analysts and our people who can determine if we can lower any fees. That will all start once cosmetology and our TPT get their fee increases. Does that make sense? I know that was a lot of information, so you're welcome to ask any questions you need. Okay, and again, just ask away if you want to. So down on the bottom of this, in the kind of the slightly grayed out, you're going to see some assessments. And so this is where I want to kind of, no, Nathan, you might want to ask whomever is creating this, the percentages under the 2022 obviously are incorrect. They're probably 3.331 instead of 10,
Oh.
and then 24 versus 124.
Okay, I will let him know.
So, but I'm going to go through those. So shared assessment, for those of you who are new, is how much this board specifically pays for things that are shared between all 17. So you're talking like rent, utilities, things that are just all 17 boards and programs have to pay part of. So that's what the shared assessment is. So this board pays 3.331% of that. So of the rent, this board pays 3.331% of it. Does that make sense? Okay. And then small board. So there is 3 individuals who solely work on small boards who do not work on cosmetology. So cosmetology is our big, huge, ginormous board with a ton of licensees. And so they, like on that shared assessment, they take up right around 90% of it. I mean, they're the big ones. And so of those 3 small board individuals, you guys pay 24.386% of that. And so again, this is where everything is kind of broken out by all boards, but based on what services you're provided. So we do examinations for you guys, and the individuals who deal with examinations, you guys pay 4.269% of that. And then inspections, you guys pay 13%. So there's 5 inspectors that go around and inspect all the facilities all throughout Oregon, but they only do it for 2 boards. They do it for you guys and the Board of Cosmetology. So cosmetology pays whatever 100 minus 13.161 is. Does that make sense? Okay. Does anybody questions on that? So that's our internal allocation. And then there's the allocation that the office gets assessed that's to be part of the health authority. And that's the, they just tell us here's how much you owe, and but we can at least, this internal allocation, we readjust it every time a new board or program comes on. So every July, we will figure out if a new board, so genetic counselors will get added into the mix in July of next year. So that's why your percentages change all the time. Does that make sense? All right. Any questions on the financials? Because I can talk until I'm blue in the face because accounting's my background, but for most people don't care. All right, so the next slide, so this is a lot of information and we can go through it, but this is the exams. So you have a bunch of different pieces of exams. So you have your electrologist exam, your standard body piercing practical exam that we administer, the written exam that we administer, and then the tattoo exam. And the tattoo, so there used to be 2 of them, now there's only 1. But this is a lot of information. This is not people. So this is how many times an exam was taken. And then it gives you your pass-fail rate. And we redid the tattoo written exam not too long ago. Well, the years go flying by. I think 2019, but so the electrologist written exam is a national exam. Then there's also an Oregon laws and rules for electrology. And then obviously we do the practical exam, we meaning the office and the board, have a practical exam for the piercing, and then the written exam's on the computer here. And then the tattoo exam is also on the computer here. Any questions? All right. Moving right along. We pick out dates that work for us and for kind of like trying to stay consistent year to year to year. But the next, I'm on slide 30 of your materials. So this is the practical exams for the standard body piercing. We set the dates, and then if we do not have enough applicants, then we don't actually do the exam. And so it's not financially feasible for us to do an exam if there's only 1 applicant, because we have to pay for the facility, we have to pay for the proctors, and so we set these for a goal But if we only have one applicant, then we'll wait until we get some more. So this is kind of a moving target, but this is what we set so that schools know, or not schools, so trainees know, because we send this out to them, so that they can know when they need to apply, because we make them apply in advance, because so that we know that we have, for one, we need enough people, and then we have to get the facility, and then we also have to get proctors. So, but there's just an information for you that we'll get this out. Like I said, we send it out to all the trainees and the supervisors, plus we get it posted on the website. So we picked out March 14th, June 13th, and October 10th. And again, this is the practical. It has nothing to do with the written. This is the actual procedures. All right, Bob, we are on you. So I'm on slide 32 of your materials. This talks about the complaints.
Hi, good morning, everybody. So in this current report, we have 3 biennium listed for cases that we still have open. In the 19 biennium, there's 5 older cases listed, but since the report was run, we've closed 1 and we're working on 2 notices of intents. So those will be closed out. And actually one of those will be coming to the board. I can't go into much about it, but we'll talk about an executive session hopefully soon. Maybe we can bring it to you prior to, I think your next board meeting is February. So we'll see what everybody's schedule aligns with, and we can get that one done and moved on. But for 2021 biennium, we have a total of 53 cases still open, and for the current biennium for 23, we have 4 open. As you'll see, towards the middle of the page where it says unlicensed body art, you'll see those are some pretty substantial numbers compared to the rest of the complaints that we get. Unlicensed is by far our largest volume of complaints that come in, and some of those are what takes us so long to get them closed, because you can't, it's call this number or instant message this number or whatever, and it just takes a while to get through to them, and sometimes we just close them unfounded because we just can't come up with the information. So I'm echoing.
Yeah, you're echoing off of Sammy.
Okay. So any questions or concerns about my report?
No, Brian and Audrey, you good? Oh, 7, yes.
I have a question. So in the COVID, it says COVID complaint 8 in 2021. Is that meaning that 8 people have complained about COVID restrictions not being met in those facilities?
Correct. Typically, that's what it is. It's either that or during the actual lockdown, we got complaints that people were still working in the facilities. Facilities was still taking people on.
Okay.
So,
okay.
So all in all, I think in that time frame, and this is kind of FYI, we received over 300 complaints.
Whoa.
So, but I mean, the majority of them were unfounded. A lot of it, people took the time to remodel their shop. So whether it's a beauty shop, some sort of salon, or even a tattoo facility, they were remodeling. Unfortunately, okay. Some of them might have actually been moving out.
Okay.
So, but yeah, those are total. It's part of the report, but it's a separate compared to the rest of the complaints that we typically get.
Okay. Thank you for answering.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Ryan?
Yeah. When it says complainant by type, what falls under the designation of other?
Oh, it could be law enforcement, a doctor's office.
Okay.
Typically our complaints, as you can see, some of the largest numbers are anonymous,
yeah.
And very few from the clients. So other could be, like I said, maybe a doctor, law enforcement, or actually another practitioner.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions for Bob? Nope.
Thanks, Bob.
All right. Did somebody say something? No.
I was just saying thank you.
Oh.
You're welcome.
All right, Sammy, why don't you do a discussion on rules and kind of some of the stuff that I covered earlier?
Okay, so in May 2021, prior to that, the board decided we would start rulemaking, determined, that was actually late 2020, decided what types of people we wanted to have on each of the committees, and kind of the timeline that we would keep to change rules. Well, that didn't happen. So, so sorry. So we did create the racks as we were supposed to. Each field of practice did end up meeting their subsequent racks did. Electrology actually had 2 meetings. But we quickly found out that it was going to be a larger undertaking, really where it came into education and training. And that was really on every spectrum for tattooing, electrology, and for piercing. And at the time, and still currently, we have a large influx of things that need to happen because of bigger changes have been made, say legislation. So if legislation changes, we have to act. So that's why body art kind of got put to the back burner. It's not put to the back burner forever. It's going to come back. My hope is Srinthi is out right now, but we'll get something sketched out, hopefully for your next board meeting, and just continue down the same path. Because really, the safety and infection control stuff was it was fine. There wasn't a really lot of things I would need to change as far as that goes, but it really came down to hours and how those hours for education and training are allocated for each field of practice. Are we going to combine specialty piercing? Are we not going to combine? And it just became very large, and we needed more input and more time to actually craft a good set of rules, good curriculum for electrology, who doesn't really have a lot. They have a rule, but it's not really a intricate detail of what the education should be. So stay tuned, more to come. Hopefully the next meeting I'll have a rule schedule, but we'll just keep with the same committees and keep moving along. Do you have any questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, so Sammy, will you see if there is anyone on the public phone line?
Hold
I think
on,
this is going to be the
check that.
fastest
there
board.
is.
Yes, there is.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people on the public phone line.
Can you guys hear them?
No, because you were on mute.
I wasn't sure if I had to be off mute.
Yes.
Okay.
So hold on, Sammy. Hold on, Sammy. Don't let them talk yet. So there are people who want to say something, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so 7 needs to read a script before any of them go talking.
At this time, the Board of Electrologists and Body Art Practitioners will hear public interest parties' feedback. Members of the public, please wait until you have been recognized. Once recognized, please state your name and affiliation to the board for the record.
So Sammy, yep, you're gonna have to turn the volume up. So
Yeah,
get
I
the
did.
first
Very
person.
loud.
Okay.
Okay, first person, go ahead and state your name. Gentleman 1.
Hello, my name is Ricardo Herrera.
Ricardo Herrera.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Ricardo.
I'm a body art practitioner. I signed up to participate when you have your meetings. I also have the tattoo school, and I have questions about the reopening of the testing, because we had a group of students graduate and they haven't been able to get scheduled yet.
Okay, so this is Sylvie. So this is a public comment period. This is not a back and forth. So if you have questions regarding exams or the schedule and stuff, then you can call the licensing manager. Her name is Tina Russell. Her her desk phone number is published on the website.
Okay.
Well,
Thank
in
you.
electronics,
And Sammy, do you want to find the next person?
it's a Zoom meeting. Can you call me back in a half hour?
I think Jamie wants to speak, but she's on another line. Hold, please.
Bye-bye.
Go ahead, Jamie.
No. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. No, I really don't have anything to add except that I really am hoping we can meet again to try and get together on how we can get Oregon people into a school or a program to become an electrologist. People just can't go to California to go to school. And I know we discussed maybe chairside or hopefully somebody will open up a school. We're losing electrologists. It's because of what's happening with the SRS surgery. We don't have enough electrologists to treat everybody. If I wanted to work 7 days a week, from 7 in the morning till 10 at night, I could. Of course, I physically can't do that, but we need more electrologists, and I'd really like to be on a committee to try and get a school in Oregon or a pathway for people to become electrologists.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. Yeah, when and if Sammy and Corinthia get to the point in rule to talk about what the curriculum needs to be for electrology, obviously they know how to get a hold of you and we'll get in touch with you with that. The other aspect is the board is not here to promote a profession, any profession, regardless if it's tattooing or piercing or anything like that. That is more the association's duties. The board is here for licensing and regulatory. So I understand the need for electrologists. I'm not trying to say that that's not important. It's just not the duty of the job, the board to promote the profession. So I have no issues talking to associations about numbers and options and what rules say, but we are not here to promote any profession. But I know that Sammy and Corinthia will be in touch with you when it gets time to discuss the curriculum.
Yeah, I do know a lot of people that would like to become electrologists, but they
Sammy,
can't go
stop
out of
typing.
state. And I do think that's up to our advisory council and so forth to make it so that these people can get licensed in Oregon.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Jamie.
You're welcome.
Sheila, you want to go ahead?
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't catch the date of the February meeting. I wonder if you could give me that. And also the other group besides cosmetology whose fees may be increasing. And then I have one other comment.
February
okay,
28th.
Sheila.
February 28th.
Yes.
And
right.
respiratory therapy and polysomnography.
Okay. Thank you. For clarification, I don't know if you've discussed this among the board, but regarding the school, we were told that they were not accepting any students this calendar year, but I'm gathering that maybe you've heard something that they're totally closed, they won't be opening this program ever again. Could you clarify that possibly?
So Sheila, this is Sylvie. That is entirely up to the school owner. all I know right now is they're not accepting new people, and that Tina works with individuals who call in about the process. If you were to go to California to go to school, here's what we would need in order to get a license in Oregon. So Tina and the qualification specialist work with any applicant to try and help them in order to meet the rules and statutes on how to get a license in Oregon, regardless of what school is or is not open or where you do or do not go to school.
So it's possible you just haven't heard if they're going to be open next year or not.
That's up to her. I'm not going to put anybody's words in her mouth. I mean, it's her school. She can decide what she does or doesn't want people to know. So I don't know. You'd have to ask her directly.
Okay, all right, thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Sheila.
Uh-huh.
Is there anyone else who wants to comment? Anyone? Hearing none? Go ahead.
All right. So we are on the last item on the agenda, which is other board business. Is there anything anybody wants to bring up? Anything we want to talk about? Anything we want to make sure is on the February agenda? All right. Well, if you think of anything between now and February 28th, you're welcome to email me or Sammy or Bob, whoever you can think of at the office. We'll get it to the right person. Other than that, 7, you have a script to adjourn.
The Board of Electrologists and Body Art Practitioners meeting is adjourned at 10:53 a.m.
And then April, you want to stop the recording?